Hello everyone, welcome to another Talking Geeky Stuff with me, Tenchi. So today I'm going to talk about The Crow, one of my all-time favorite comic book movies. That is not a superhero movie and is not a either Marvel or DC Image Comics, more like an independent comic. But before we talk about the movie, let's talk about the comic first by James O'Barr. So I read the comic first only because of the marketing of the film back in 1993. I think the film came out in 94. But anyway, back then there wasn't internet like it's today, right? So we had to buy kind of Wizard magazines for any comic related stuff. We had to buy a magazine especially for anime, for example, or movie magazines back then. So I remember reading about, I think it's in Wizards anyway, was um, and they're making a live action film called The Crow. I mean, I didn't know anything about The Crow back then, but I knew that it starred Brandon Lee, the son of Bruce Lee. I was, of course, I'm a big fan of Bruce Lee, of course, and I've seen a couple of his Brandon Lee films. Well, he's only made a couple there, wasn't it? But with what I've seen of Brandon Lee, I quite liked him. And so the article, when I read the article, they talked about he was based on a story comic by James O'Barr, and gave us, and I read the summary, the article about that. Pretty tragic, really. I mean, if I remember correctly, James O'Barr created the Crow because of his girlfriend or fiance who died in a accident, and he took all his kind of sorrow, pain, frustrations, and all that, and created the Crow. So, of course, the movie was kind of in production, still filming. So, after that article and read that how James O'Barr, become to create that comic, quickly the following weekend I went to a comic shop, picked up the book, compilation of all the comics, and read it. Instantly fell in love with it. Artwork's great, characters great. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I can imagine how the film is going to look like. Very gothic, very dark. It's not going to be your, PG-13 rated kind of superhero. I was going to say super comic movie. It's going to be in the UK we rated 18. So in America it's probably rated R. So I know after reading the comic, loved it, and of course eagerly waiting for the movie, which of course starred Brandon Lee, and so keeping a close eye on how the movie was, of course, months goes on, and the article, I think it was again Wizards magazines, and you read the article of Brandon Lee died in the film. Tragic accident that one of the props, the bullets in the gun, was a bit dodgy, and he kind of the shrapnel or something like that of the casing, went to his stomach, and he died. They rushed him to the hospital, and he died on the way. Tragic death. Of a great actor, because after that film, you watch him, you can imagine the kind of actor he could become. He could be like the kind of like reminds me of he could become like the Keanu Reeves, kind of like a Keanu Reeves competitor. He could have played in the Matrix. He could have been in John Wick, for example. As far as I know, after The Crow, he was supposed to do, like he was in talks to do to co-star with Bruce Willis in Die Hard 3. I'm not sure I'm not sure if he actually signed pen to paper on the contract, but that was supposedly his next role. He was supposed to play a Samuel Jackson role, something on the lines anyway. But anyway, so I just remember reading are they going to finish the movie? What they're going to do? Of course, you had all these conspiracy theory guys and girls making up their own theory of how he died. Like the Bruce Lee curse. Was it an accident? Was it intentional? Investigations? All of that. I mean, to this day, they still haven't found anything that is suspicious, of course. It's just been put down to a freak accident, really. I mean, these things can happen. It's unfortunate because, Brandon Lee had so much potential. Could easily become, like I said, like a Keanu Reeves, a Brad Pitt, a Tom Cruise kind of level actor. Because, he had the looks, he knew martial arts. He could, his acting was improving, especially after watching The Crow. You can clearly see his acting has improved a lot. So anyway, on the film, and then the film come out in the UK. I remember one of the posters that came out was it says "Darker Than the Bat." I think it came out a couple of years after Batman Returns. And the funny story was I went to watch The Crow with one of my friends who is a big Batman fan. And he was a bit kind of pissed off, saying, "Why did they say it's darker than the Bat?" He didn't really want to go and watch The Crow, but I kind of convinced him. So anyway, we both went in, watching it. Oh my god, it was a fantastic experience. My friend comes out, he kind of ate his own words because he loved it. It became one of his favorite, not just favorite comic book movies, but one of his favorite movies, period, really. But when you think about the movie, spoilers, if you haven't seen it, so can be a bit spoilers, it's kind of quite sad because when you watch the movie, the movie starts off him coming out the grave and taking the revenge and so on. Then the end of the movie, he sees a vision of his girlfriend dressed in white, taking him to heaven or whichever spiritual place they're going to. So it's kind of ironic in a way where in real life, he died. So that's quite sad. I think I shed a tear at the end. But you got to kind of give the filmmakers credit because it's not like today where we have CGI to do anything. You can create characters out of thin air. You can de-age them. This was back in the early 90s where CG was, it was getting better after Jurassic Park and Terminator. CG was definitely getting better. But that was hugely reserved for massive productions. I mean, The Crow was made on a moderate budget, so. But I like the way that Alex Proyas, the director, I mean, the film was meant to be dark anyway, so I think they took that as advantage to use a lot of stand-ins, and Brandon Lee's character, Eric Draven, was in the shadows a lot. So that was good. So, and the trouble production, especially after when your main actor dies, right? So I think they did a really good job in that. Action was great, story was great. It was great messages. The message between the girl and her mother, the junkie. I can't remember the scene, but when he had her by the mirror in the bathroom, and he said something to her about, well, watch it and you find out, So it's a good message of anti-drugs as well. So definitely keep your ears out for that. For those who haven't watched it, I highly, highly recommend it. It's actually literally one of the best films. Fantasy, revenge, goth, comic, films out there. Like I said, it's a bit of a shame that Brandon Lee had to die. I mean, I can see he could easily become one of the biggest stars in today. And for those who, speaking about the comics, I know there was a few other comics after the movie. And there was also a sort of sequel movie, which I haven't seen. I think the sequel was about the girl in the first movie. She's all grown up and she sees it happen again, but I haven't seen it, so couldn't tell you how good it was. And as for the other comics, I haven't read. Um, I just felt that it was a bit of a, I don't know, maybe I need to read them, but felt like a cash grab or something like that. But hey, let me know in the comments if you read the other comics, and let me know if they're good. I might go and check them out. But you definitely need to read the comic. I think it's great. You can buy the special edition, with introductions, and when you read the story, the comic, you can sense and feel the kind of passion that James O'Barr had because of the tragic story, how his fiance died and so on. And of course, in the film as well, when you watch that, the passion transfers over. And then, knowing that Brandon Lee died during the making of it, kind of becomes quite sad and emotional as well. So definitely check those films out and the comic book. Anyway, that's enough about me talking about Crow, one of my favorite comic to films of all time. Anyway, let me know what you think about it. And please like this video if you like, of course. And please consider subscribing. I'd like to say thank you. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. And please stay safe. Goodbye.